Hey everybody, welcome to Cupboard Creations. My name's Gareth and this is my little corner of the internet for playing with my food. Today I'm going to go for a dessert. I don't really do a lot of desserts. It's not something I eat a lot during the week. Only really on weekends or when someone's coming around. But I do love them and I have such a sweet tooth. And this is pretty much great for anyone with a sweet tooth. So this is going to be my Toffee Apple Crumble. Now it sounds like it's going to be covered in shards of toffee and it's going to be impossible to eat, but it's not. We're just going to use a couple of little ingredients that will give it that flavour. And you'll have this really kind of sweet, lovely apple crumble that's just got that little bit extra. So we're going to start simply with the crumble topping. Best to make first because you can then just chuck it in the fridge while you make the rest, and that actually helps it kind of firm up a bit, makes it a little more easy to work with. So we're going to start with 150 grams of plain flour. And very simply to that, we're just going to add 100 grams of that kind of demerara sugar, you know, the really kind of crispy one. And that's great because that just gives that topping that's a little bit of crisp. And then butter. So you want 90 grams of butter, unsalted, of course. Salted would taste weird. So we're going to pop that in there. And then all we're going to do is kind of just knead that all together. And it will take a while, but hopefully the warmth of your hands will slowly melt that butter down a bit and it will all come together in this nice crumble topping. So yeah, you're just sort of passing it through your fingers and just kind of like pinching it. And you'll notice it will start to come and form like little crumbly bits really. Okay, so that's really coming together now. You see you'll start to get clumps and you can almost squeeze it into little balls and then they'll just break up nicely. You just want to keep going till it kind of crumbles down and you've got nice little nuggets. And just at this point, before we go any further, I'm just going to add a little pinch of salt. So you don't want to use salted butter because you can add a little bit later, but nowhere near as much as you would if you used the others. So a little pinch of salt in there. And then just finish it off. Right, so there we go. That crumble's done. Like I say, really hot day today, so it's kind of clumped together quite large bits. What we'll do now, whack that in the fridge, and as that cools down, when it comes to sprinkling it on top, you can break it apart a bit with your hands. You won't be able to do it when it's super, super hot because the warmth of your hands will just keep clumping it. But that's pretty good to go. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge, come back, start putting the rest together. Okay, so that's chilling down in the fridge now. We're going to turn our attention to the main event, the appley bit. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab yourself a lime, chop it in half, and whatever dish you're going to do it in, just squeeze that lime into the bottom. Seems a bit weird, but the idea being when you chop apples or when you slice them, they're going to kind of go brown really fast, like once the oxygen hits them. And you don't want that, you want them to stay nice and green. And lime juice will stop that happening. So you don't need a lot because it's kind of sour enough. But if you can get half a lime, it's worth of juice, just in the bottom of the dish. Then when you chop the apples and pop them in, mix them in a bit and that will stop them going brown. So, apples. You're going to want about 1 kilo of cooking apples. Lime, lovely. So you don't want kind of eating apples for this because that will be too sweet. Because we're going to add in all those sugars to kind of give it that toffee apple flavour. You want a nice sharp apple. So all we're going to do, peel and core our apples and then slice them into kind of little half moon shapes and pop them in the dish. Okay, so once you got it peeled, easiest way to core it, just chop it in half and then make like a little triangular slice around that core. And hopefully you can just pop it out. But if it breaks like that, don't worry too much. As long as you got your fingers attached, it'll all be good. And then just, slice them probably just under 1 centimetre thick. Okay, so all our apples are in there. Now, the next thing you want to add, I've already added it because I'm an idiot and I didn't turn the recording button on, but I got halfway through and then realised when the camera turned itself off. But you want to add in some soft light brown sugar. So you want about 30 grams of it. You want to like just pop it in, and we'll give that a mix around. And that's going to give it a nice sweetness, which you want. It's a dessert. Might go everywhere a bit, but don't worry. You can pat it all down. That's good. So got that all mixed in. And then wash your hands. Now we want a pinch of cinnamon. So pinches can pretty much up to you, but I reckon about a quarter of a teaspoon is probably going to do it for you. Don't want too much. There we go. And then molasses. Now this is what's going to give it that real toffee flavour. You're going to have such a deep kind of sweetness to it. Now, unlike with the other sugar where we've mixed it all through, we want to kind of crumble this in. So we don't want to break it up too much, because then you get these little lovely little nuggets as it melts of kind of that toffee type flavour. It's pretty easy to keep solid. So just break it into tiny little bits and then just start dropping them in. Then maybe give it a turn over, which will help mix that cinnamon in as well. Get it all in there, and then just keep crumbling little nuggets of it in. There we go. So now that's done, you see you've got those little nuggets of it all over the top. We can go grab our crumble mixture out of the fridge. Great, so crumble's out, and now all we want to do is just pop that on top. Just kind of any big bits, you'll be able to break them up now it's been in the fridge. Just crumble it. I keep saying crumble, but I guess that's why they call it a crumble. There's no other real word for it. But we just want to cover all of those apples. So there we go, crumble done. All ready to go in the oven. Okay, so now just time to stick in the oven. Or if you're doing this early, you can now just whack that in a fridge as is, and that will keep, for a good couple of hours while you do a main meal or whatever. Then you can just pop it in when it's time to cook. So you're gonna stick that in the oven, either now or later, at 180 degrees C for about 35 to 40 minutes. And that should give you a perfect crumble. So check it at 35. If it's not looking crispy enough on the top, just kind of leave it in there for another 5 minutes or so. But I'm gonna whack that in the oven and I'll show you what we got when we're done. Okay, so we're done. That's had 40 minutes in there now, and it's looking perfect. I already checked. So here we go. That is gorgeous. And you'll see there's got this kind of like toffee kind of thing just popping out. Absolutely beautiful. Now you're going to need to let that cool down. You are definitely going to need to let it cool down. It is hot. So give it probably at least 10 minutes. Just sit in there, just rest it, and then pop it out. Whack it in some bowls of some lovely ice cream or custard, whichever you prefer. It's an absolute treat. So there you go. That is my toffee apple crumble. I hope you give it a go. I hope you enjoy it. It's absolutely delicious. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.